and his mission is to provide living food and juice as well as information and education through all various mediums like books, DVDs, classes, social networking to help you succeed living your best life possible. So feel free to grab his literature that is outside on the table and definitely stop by as well. And then next we have Ms. Sylvia Robinson. She is from the ECAC, which is across the street from the School of Business on Euclid. So if you haven't gotten familiar with that, please do so. They run one of the longest running open mic sessions called Spit That. I think it's every Thursday. Every Thursday. So you guys should definitely come out to that, support the community, especially support your local, Howard community, people that are right around here. But Ms. Robinson is the executive director of the Emergence Community Arts Collective and is the founder and visionary of its mission to empower the human spirit and promote community development through positive social and civic interaction. Returning to the neighborhood she was raised in, and she combined her experience for profit and nonprofit management, cultural arts, martial arts, and drug and alcohol counseling to create a new model of community engagement. That is just a small section of what she does. Like I said, I do definitely hope you become familiar with the ECAC and stop by for the various different classes that they have over there. And then, least but definitely not last, we have Dr. Martina Washington. From her website, the New Life Wellness Center, she says that your decision to follow a healthy lifestyle is perhaps the most important choice you will ever make. Wellness and prevention are keys to your good health. That's why we offer the best health and wellness services. At the New Life Wellness Center, we believe that the people should look and feel great to enjoy optimal health for a lifetime. Unfortunately, many people compromise their health unknowingly. We try to educate as well as treat our clients with a holistic approach for their well-being. New Life Wellness Center offers a highly personalized approach to healthcare. This includes supporting our patients through partnerships and education, teaching people a better understanding of nature's signs of illnesses. Take hold of your health and live well. Your healthy lifestyle starts here. So definitely become familiar, if you have not already, with her center as well. And we can get a round of applause for our panelists. And so before we begin questions, I just want to say I would like this to be a sort of dialogue. So if you all have any questions, feel free to raise your hand. And we want to make you incorporate your opinions and your questions into this as much as we want to hear the knowledge of our speakers up here as well. So one of the things I want to read you, this is something that when I was a senior in high school, I was awarded a scholarship. And someone was a motivational speaker that was there happened to have this autobiography, and she read it out loud. And I thought it was one of the most amazing things, one of the most amazing books that I had ever read. And it really impacted my life. And so I'd like to share that with you all just as a precursor to this. And it says, Chapter 1, I walk down the street. There is a deep hole in the sidewalk. I fall in. I am lost. I am helpless. It is my fault. It takes me forever to find my way out. Chapter 2, I walk down the street. There is a deep hole in the sidewalk. I pretend I don't see it. I fall again. I can't believe I'm in the same place. But it isn't my fault. It still takes me a long time to get out. Chapter 3, I walk down the street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I see it there. I still fall in. It's a habit. My eyes are open. I know where I am. It's my fault. I get out immediately. Chapter 4, I walk down the street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I walk around it. Chapter 5, I walk down another street. And my reason for reading this to you all is because it is one thing to live a lifestyle, it is another thing to choose the lifestyle that you live. And so I feel like it's just never too late to begin the first day of the rest of your life. And so I hope you all enjoyed that, and I hope it affected you as much as it affects me. And you feel that you can take charge of your life if you don't feel so already, or you can continue to progress your life in the direction that you choose to. And so we shall begin with our questions. So this is for Ms. Sylvia Robinson. I would just like you to explain just what is Tai Chi and just the origins of Tai Chi.
Good evening, everyone. Okay, so Tai Chi is a martial art form, although in today's not so much practice as a martial art, it's more a health, it's more for health. You'll see it practice sometimes in the parks. It's done very slowly, involves a lot of deep breathing, meditative movements. Its origins were very martial, but it was discovered that in addition to learning the hard moves, punches and kicks, that there was a way to generate your internal storehouse of energy, known as your chi and your dantian, which is just inside the navel. Um, and so there was a way to generate this, but in order to do that, one needed to concentrate and slow the body and movements down in order to incorporate that into the martial movements. And so that practice, although it started with martial intentions, became, the health benefits became known. And so by the time it got to this country, then it was really done more for health reasons. But basically, it's about harnessing your chi, your storehouse of energy that you have in the body, and allowing it to flow through the body and outward. And it really, although it's physical practice, it really is about slowing down and enhancing your mind, your body, your spirit, and working in a number of ways. Basically, you're refocusing your energies.
So how exactly does a refocus of energy benefit their health?
Well, in order to, and let me just preface by saying that I'm speaking to you more from my own personal experience as opposed to as a Tai Chi scholar. But for me, one of the things that I find as a big issue today is the fact that we are so sped up and unfocused or focused outside of ourselves. And that is a big problem that I see in people, is that we're not able to gather ourselves and understand who we are and where our energy is coming from. One thing about me that a lot of people will laugh at: I don't watch television. I don't have a cell phone.
I think that's great.
There are a lot of things that I think are pulling people away from who they are and what they think and what they feel. So it's a way of getting back to who you are, what are your natural rhythms, how do you breathe, how is your breath energizing your body, how do you feel. I think sometimes we really don't know in any given moment of the day how we actually feel, because we're so out busy doing other things and so focused on things outside of ourselves. So for me, it's about pulling all of our attention back inward, and noticing who we are, what we feel, and then, in the out breath, kind of expressing that in the world.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting point that you bring up about breathing, because I think a lot of people don't realize that they're not breathing correctly. And I feel like Tai Chi is one of those art forms that helps you understand that the breath that you take directly relates to how good you feel and how energized your cells are and things like that.
Yeah, and the practice itself takes a lot of discipline, because you have to really start to see underneath the layers of still your mind, quiet yourself. It doesn't have to be Tai Chi. It can be any type of meditative practice where you just maybe sit for 20 minutes a day in a quiet space and gather yourself, focus on inside who you are, how you're feeling, quiet yourself. And that will have the benefit of just allowing your natural rhythm to kind of have some space, allowing space for yourself.
Now, also, like I said, if there are any questions, feel free to raise your hand. So I guess our next thing, I kind of want to open it up to just health in general, and any of you can feel free to answer any of the questions if you feel you have any type of expertise or knowledge or just an opinion at all, by all means. But I just want to know what each of you feel is the most important aspect relating to health and knowing your body and your breathing and things like that, and how that relates to just being energized and maximizing your energy.
All right, I think so. Well, initially, you have to give your body exactly what it needs to survive on a day-to-day basis based upon what your specific body needs. Just taking like, just say for instance, you want to cut corners, you want to take a multivitamin, you still have to, that's giving a basic general assumption of what the average person body needs. And so somebody may be vitamin D deficient, but taking a regular multivitamin is not going to compensate for that vitamin D that particular person needs as opposed to another person who may be vitamin B deficient or vitamin K deficient or vitamin A. It's about exactly what your particular body needs. So yes, once again, it is knowing thyself and knowing exactly what disease affects you and what exactly what you want help in to make your body go. Thanks.
Let me just add a little bit. When you think about a health condition and you think about how to deal with an imbalance, people call it a sickness, they call it an illness, they call it a disease. I don't use none of those languages because it has to do with a self-imposed process. So in my 40 years of working as a holistic health practitioner, 99.9% of all the clients that I've seen have done it to themselves. Even the individuals who come in and talk about genetics, well, it got passed down through the family. It runs in my family. So I tell them to catch them. Beat them up. Stomp him. Roll a call over top of him. Kick him out of your family. In other words, do not take the same roads, do not drive the same vehicles, don't eat the same food, don't live the same lifestyle. So when you talk about what to do and how to look at health, there's no separation. As she stated, what are the components? No, it's all one piece. So if we separate the whole concept of treating the body from treating the mind, then we're off. If we separate the concept of treating the mind from taking care of the spirit, then we're off. So if we talk about the holistic concept, people usually say body, mind, spirit, so they put the physical first. That's the way society has dubbed that for us. They want us to attach and deal with all this physical realm down here. But when you talk about healing in any and everything else as it relates to existence, spirit first, am I right?
Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah.
Hello out there. In the spirit first? Yeah. Then it comes to the mind, then to the body. But what we leave out, and I was so proud of what you guys are doing when I went to the website and saw how they noted community and environment. So if I have high blood pressure and I deal with my spirit and I meditate and I do some Tai Chi and I do a little yoga and I do some breathing and I take my vitamins, and my pressure's gonna come down, yay?
Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah.
Okay, come on, black folk. So I'm working on my spirit. So then I'm worried about my issue because I don't know what to expect from this so-called health system that I have. So now I'm going to educate myself. I'm going to go and I'm going to listen to Kepler and I'm going to listen to my sister Martina, and I'm going to gather more information, become more secure with my decisions about dealing with this health condition and imbalance that I have. Now I'm feeling okay and I'm not worried and I'm not anxious. Y'all with me?
Yeah.
Okay, so we got the spirit, that calmed the pressure down. We got the education, now I know what to do. I ain't worried about this thing because I know what to take, I know where to go, and blah, 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 blah. So now I'm becoming more empowered, which is what holistic health is all about. Now I can determine what I'm going to do with my body because I got the information. Oh, vegetarian diet. Oh, alkaline water. Oh, go on over to Kepler's and get some of that raw food. Go over to the sister over at the space on Euclid and get into that Tai Chi class. Go over and see Martina and get a little colonic, whatever the case may be, and go see my brother, get some nutritional support. Go see Dr. Kakai and get a health assessment and get some herbs and a little acupuncture. Now we got the body thing covered. Yay, Bo?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
Okay, so we got the spirit calm, we got the mind educated, we got the body worked on. But when I go home with my high blood pressure, I got a wife that nags me. So does my pressure go back up?
Yeah.
Okay, so now we clear. There's no separation. If I go to my job and my job is such, well, I ain't got to get a divorce, get a new job, start my own business, go to counseling. I got to do something to deal with my environment, my community. I'm an alcoholic. So now I'm going to NA meetings, I'm dealing with some spiritual stuff, I'm dealing with some mental stuff, I'm detoxing over here, but I go home and everybody's still drinking. And I walk through my neighborhood in the African American community, there's a liquor store on every corner in my community. So what am I doing politically about that? You see what I'm saying? That I can feel good about and raise my self-esteem up. So when we talk about addressing any health problem, it has to be done from a holistic perspective that's spelled with a W, not the H.
Just rolling right along, I just wanted, since we were speaking about holistic and all-encompassing, basically, I wanted to get on food and the food nowadays, and I just wanted to, if anyone could speak on what is the difference between a genetically modified organism and if that is considered a holistic product for us to eat, and if not, then can you elaborate on that?
Okay. All right. What was your name? Brother Tim. Me and Brother Tim were actually, he asked me this question actually before we started, and I think that, you know, what I was telling him, what I was sharing with him is basically, we gotta start with whole foods, and I know that sounds maybe a little cliche, but the thing is that we have to get away from processed foods. I mean, the foods, you know, anything you buy in a bag, if it's in a bag, a box, or a can, it's likely, or a jar, it's been processed. And, you know, again, if you got a bunch of ingredients, you know, especially things that you can't pronounce the first time, you know, it's likely that it's GMO. So the thing is that if we start with whole foods, you know, again, that first aisle in the supermarket, you know, whether
One
it's
aisle.
right, the one aisle, you know, you reduce the chances dramatically of eating genetically modified food. Now you can go into Whole Foods, the actual, you know, the mega organic supermarket, and buy genetically modified produce. So you have to be educated. The thing is that you've got three options when you go to Whole Foods or any market. You got organic, of course, and usually the number will start with a 9. You got conventional, that will start with a 4. And then you have genetically modified, which will start with a 3. Now, very quickly, in terms of genetically modified food, I think it's important to understand that this is food, you know, again, as I was telling him, you know, what big businesses is doing, corporations, is moving food from, you know, when we think of food and where it's grown, we think what? Farm. So we're talking from food to farm to lab. You know, so whether it's meat, whatever, you know, and I was also sharing, you know, I was a student here. I attended here. I was an engineering student, and representative from Kraft Foods was coming to recruit engineers, you know, to engineer food. So again, you know, if you're eating these kind, and again, you find these things in boxes and you know, in those middle aisles, which is the aisles you really want to limit your activity from, because we as consumers, we have a say, we have that power, we have our money. That's how we vote. You know, it's not in the ballot, it's how you spend your money. Okay, so as a consumer, really, there's 3 places that you want to, you know, purchase most of your food. The first place is really your farmer's market. So if you go into your farmer's market, even if it's, you know, I mean, 100% of the food there is going to be or I should say 99% is going to be pretty much righteous. You have local, farmers who are putting love and energy. They probably pick the food either that day or the day before. That's going to be far better than any organic food that was grown in Mexico or California or even in Europe, which is where a lot of our organic food is coming from. So you really want to start at your farmer's market. The second place, of course, is your health food store, and then the third place is your international market. Now, I don't know if any of you have any Caribbean background or anything of that nature, but when you go to, it could be Caribbean, it could be Asian, it could be all of the above. Basically, when you go in the international market, they have a lot of exotic foods that you want to get familiar with, especially exotic fruits. I'm an exotic fruit connoisseur, things like lychee and jackfruit and mangosteen, and these are like fruits, durian. These are fruits that I make meals out of, and most people don't know. They're not even aware of what these foods are. So, so again, you will find these kinds of things at your international market. So it's important that, if you're doing that, you pretty much will eliminate really any chance of eating genetically modified food really grown in the lab. And food actually, if you understand, maybe we have some science people in here, they have to grow it using a virus, because the virus, it's the virus that can go into the cell at the deepest, most elemental level and modify it, is the virus. So if you're eating genetically modified food, you're eating food that's not only grown in the lab, but grown using a virus.
I have a question, to add on that. Actually, I have a two-part question. Because out of the whole panel, I would have to admit I'm still a carnivore. Like, I still eat meat. You know what I'm saying? Sad to say. But I make sure that my meat is like antibiotic free, no GMO free, like farm raised, like cage free. You know what I'm saying? I check that. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I also recommend to anybody else out there. Like, I'm in the process myself of trying to better my diet, but I still eat meat. But when we eat meat, we eat meat that's like has not been plucked with no needle. You know what I'm saying? And made, you know what I'm saying, made a comfort and quicker. So, but also too, in the midst of us trying to like for instance, from my background, dealing with organic food, like this majority of it, from my understanding, is not even grown in the United States. So by them shipping it from Mexico, South America, from Europe, it's not a live food by the time it gets to the shores, let alone by the time it's packed in that truck and delivered from the distribution center to the local regional stores. So what is the benefit of eating our organic food? Because that's the whole hustle. They're saying, we're going to ship it from here, we're going to make it GMO so it can stay fresher and longer so you can get the enzymes from it. So if it's coming from that far of a distance, from being plucked from the vine, what benefit are we going to get by the time we reach the produce section after sprayed with like moisture?
Well, I mean, we live in this, we live in a big city. We got to do the best we can. We're not on the farm. We're not in the country. We're not, in the tropics where we should be. So we got to do the best we can. And again, that's why I said the first place you start is your farmer's market. And being in this area of the world where we have a seasonal environment, we have winter. I mean, we do have some farmers that are using, that are growing food year-round, using greenhouses and things like that. But realistically, again, we got to do the best we can. And again, because we live in this world where, I mean, we have some people who claim that it's overpopulated. That's another discussion. But again, we live in the city. We have. I mean, it's a blessing and a curse, because in a sense, yeah, what you say is correct in being that, yeah, it came from Europe. It just flew a lot of food coming from China. So if it's coming from across the globe, then, the benefit is that we're also getting things that are very good for us, from everywhere around the world. So, being here in Washington D.C., and again, I mentioned about going to the international market, because we have most cultures around the world represented, most cultures will bring their foods. And some of their foods, again, if we take the time to educate ourselves and investigate, some of these foods are really worth seeking and going and having. So it's a pro and a con, but we do the best we can.
I just want to, before I answer questions, I just want to say there's a lot of gardens in the city as well. There's a lot of different farms in the city as well. Just for Howard students in general, we have a farm area, a garden area on the side of the West Towers that I know a lot of people, one, probably don't know about it, two, aren't involved in. And so as students and as people, as citizens of the city, I think it's important that we get educated and support these local businesses and these local, organizations that are actually trying to get out there and trying to bring the organic produce to you from your home. And, they can't survive without us, and I think that's an important thing to take into consideration. There's also a farm right down the street from us called Common Good City Farm that is always accepting volunteers from Howard students and from people in general. Question?
Yeah, I just wanted to, Kepler just ended off talking about the process of genetically modified foods and how they use a virus. I'm so glad Dr. Haru's on the panel. He's a biochemist.
Electrical engineer and a chemist.
Okay. Maybe you can break down a little bit more, expound on the process of making a genetically modified organism, so that everyone understands exactly what goes into that and why it's so bad for us.
Before you do that, let me give a formal introduction to Chef Haru. He is a raw live foods master chef. He is the master instructor for the House of Angola Raw Food Living Class Program. The classes have been conducted in community centers, health food stores, restaurants, private residences, temples, and churches, basically everywhere, guys, in Washington, D.C., metropolitan area, the East Coast, and for over 8 years. With over 900 participants, he is a trained holistic wellness living counselor, electrical engineer, laboratory chemical technologist, radio talk show host, and an indigenous metaphysician. Chef Haru is the author of the published Life is Raw, Eat to Live Food Preparation Meal Guide, celebrating the soul and culture of African, Caribbean, and Southern raw live food.
One thing I want to talk about the genetically modified foods is that whenever you consume a food in your digestive system, you remember also you are what you eat. And the problem is when you consume genetically modified foods, that you actually consume the DNA of the RNA of what was introduced into the food stuffs. So that's why it's so critically important that was Kepler talking about that we have to start eating foods from indigenous cultures, because they're ones who are actually using century-old processes, thousands-year processes of agriculture. With a lot of the commercial, industrial food companies, they actually use gene splicing or try to modify some of the food properties of the food. One is to increase the shelf life, and also on a more different level is also being used as a means to induce certain sickness factors into the human organism. So you have the genetically modified food, but you remember there's a good side and there's an evil side, or the way we want to from old folks speaking. So that's why it's also so critically important that you have to. It's always better to grow your own food stuff because you control the process, and also with the industrialization process, there's a lot of toxins that's introduced into the soil that the plants through photosynthesis absorb into the materials. When you consume those plants, you actually consume some of the toxic elements that's like foreign to the body.
Can you talk about some of those toxic elements for those that do not know?
Like the pesticides, the herbicides, the phytoestrogens. For example, you remember like endocrine disruptors? It's extremely important for the sisters when we do have a child, conceive a child, that you watch what you're eating, because what happened during the gestation period, when the cells are starting to divide. And what happened is that the signature of those foreign elements are actually absorbed into the cells. So that's why women who were taking the EDT back in the 60s and 70s, and children, all of a sudden, about 30, 40, now you have this incidence of breast cancer or testicular cancer, is that the blueprint is actually started during the gestation period in the woman. Also, postnatal, when women are breastfeeding, if they're breastfeeding, and you have to watch what you eat because through the milk, those viruses are introduced into the body. So it might take 10, 20, 30, 40 years for the disease to manifest, because as you go through the different stages of cellular development through adult life processes, at that time, those vectors start to unfold.
So that was what leaves people predisposed, as they call it.
It's predisposed, but it's been programmably predisposed to diseases.
Yeah, I think that's an important thing because I don't think people they don't take that seriously, that you truly are what you eat, especially when you have a child, that the food that you eat as you're pregnant is going to affect the immune system of your child as they grow. And then, as Dr. Patterson was saying earlier, then you have family diseases and things like that that people say are passed on.
And also the signature for the men too, through the semen, and for the sperm cells, those entities are also introduced when it's like a laboratory. So that's why for those of us who are in the sciences, you have to become more of a social activist, because they use sciences to actually implement social policies or control certain situations over decades and periods of time.
Are food addictions becoming a series of drug addictions?
Yes.
And just
That's a great question. That's actually one of the questions that we wanted to talk about, food addictions, because a lot of people don't realize that they're addicted to something, to a substance. And so I'd like to hear your comments and anyone's comments on what they feel food addiction is.
Okay, I'm going to speak on that just a little bit, and then Lucy can keep speaking on it. But absolutely, food is becoming an addiction. Way back when Elijah Muhammad in the 60s wrote, "You are what you eat. You either eat to live or you eat to die." The introduction of all of these sugars and salts to our dietary supplements, to the food we eat and everything, dictates what we're going to eat. It dictates obesity. That's why we have so much obesity. It dictates illness and disease in the body. So the more things that you are consuming in your body without regulating what it is you're going to eat, or giving it a mind thought of what the food is going to do when you eat it, what's it going to do to your body when you eat it, determines whether there's going to be an addiction or not. If you're a person that's addicted to sugar, it creates almost every illness and disease in the body. Okay, forgetfulness, things like hypertension, diabetes, all of this, where you have diabetes even when you're pregnant. You get diabetes, and then you pass it on to your children. You're having all of these childhood illnesses and diseases are coming from the food. So when you're thinking about food and what you're going to consume and how you're going to consume, and to the brother on the end, go to your local, eat what's in season, things like that. We try to eat a lot of food that's not in season, so we do have to go to a lot of overseas or Mediterranean menus, Asian menus, Ethiopian menus, and things like that. Things that are not even locally grown. But if we use our markets, like Sister Ruby was saying, if we go over to Eastern Market, if we look at some of our growers over in, they have a new avenue on the, Martin Luther King has a new market. If you go to some of your local co-ops, you can find food that are locally grown. They don't have all of these pesticides. You're eating what's in season. As far as getting back to your question with addiction, yes, food can be addiction. Once you touch it to the tongue, you're addicted to it. But if you try to cleanse and detox and introduce another way of eating to your diet, say about 30 days to 90 days, you can change that addiction or break that addiction.
What if you don't want to?
If you don't want to, we're about to hit that too. If your mind is addicted to bad eating, then you're not going to want to. But if you want to upgrade yourself, enlighten yourself, and become more healthy, if you want to extend the quality of life that you were given, then you may decide that you do want to change the way you're eating. You don't want to fall into the system or the standard American diet, which is the sad diet. It's geared to make you have death come upon you. There was a time we lived long, fruitful lives because we were vital people. We ate good food from the earth. We ate good food from the trees. But now we've introduced meat. And when you do introduce flesh, that's chicken, turkey, fish, pork, or beef, that's eggs, cheese, milk, butter. When you introduce that into, you also introduce death. You end earlier, so you want to reevaluate your thinking and think, do you want to eat to live or do you want to eat to die?
Can I just ask you one thing? Could you explain what happened? Because for me, it makes it more clear when you explain actually what's happening in the body when you're consuming these foods.
Okay.
And how it's being broken down.
One of the things, remember esters in chemistry? Where you actually make the synthetic taste? What it is that there's a two-part process. One is the actual chemical process, and there's also the psychological conditioning through the commercial marketing of food. They use esters and artificial chemicals, so it mimics when you taste the food across your tongue, the taste receptors across your tongue is actually full. It gives a sense signal to the nervous system that you're eating anything that's sweet, sour, or salty. And then also, it also modified, we're talking about genetically modified, they also introduce like animal proteins into the food, where it actually can trick the kidneys into false filtering of the waste products and just back to the body. Also, when I talk about commercialization of food, when I was a freshman in school, we had to take a course in the rhetoric of language and marketing. And basically what it shows you how through the marketing campaign, they introduce artificial arguments, but they use these statements that are competitive, repeating the statements you said that that's truth. They also use, you remember we had the athletes saying milk does the body good? And you remember where you had all these athletes who were drinking milk? You remember with FloJo, when she was one of the stars in that feature, and she had a tendency to overconsume milk. And what happened is her lungs got filled, and I think she had died of asthma. So you have to realize that although you might be addicted, but it also can be artificially induced through psychological conditioning through the markets.
Yeah, I just wanted to piggyback on his question about what if you don't want to give up your addiction on food. And my question is more so, I want to know, how do you find a substitute? Because chocolate is chocolate. And so, how do you find something that, because I believe chocolate does give off endorphins. It makes you feel good. And
Cacao, we talk about the cacao, he's a master chocolate chemist. And basically what it is that you have to integrate the cells in terms of, remember how your mother used to make foods from scratch? Go back to that process of your mothers and your great grandmothers getting back into the kitchen, because the kitchen is the alchemist of the body. So you have to get back in terms of getting back into the art of science of cooking. Because remember, you eat to live, you don't live to eat. And you have to get back, all of us have to get back to the process of becoming your own food connoisseur, how you prepare the foods, and study the chemistry of foods. Because one of the things, since we come to the age of 11, as Martina said, is that for those who don't know, ignorance is bliss. For those who know, and for those who have the education background, actually separate the emotion part from the actual physical needs. You really have to use your own spiritual powers to actually, what happens is that for those of us who do prayer meditation, when you get to the moment, you actually to start to receive messages, and those messages also helps you to fine tune, to discern information, because what happens is with the commercialization of the foods, it's constantly being bombarded by all these images. So when you see the images of food on the television screen, in a print or magazine, it sets off these neurological memory cells that you get triggered to actually buy the foods. Remember Popeyes or churches? Remember you used to have a commercial back in the 80s where you said the church choir, everybody was singing the choir, and then all of a sudden they had singing that people go into the church and consume chicken. The chicken with the red with the fat back and the red piece and the rice and the biscuits and the cow milk and the high sugar sodas. So you really have to pay attention to a discernment of your mental processes.
Let me just say a little something about addiction. We have to level the playing field as it relates to addiction. So an individual who is addicted to alcohol is a little bit different than an individual who's addicted to chocolate. Huh? I'm just asking. I would say not. You know, if someone came to me and they had an addictive disorder, I would treat them the same way. But the specifics would have to do with what they're addicted to. The behavior, the mindset is the same. So if I'm addicted to alcohol and I'm not ready to give it up yet, then I have to deal with the consequences. There's no difference. Let me explain. A person who uses heroin, cocaine, etc., they just don't die right away, do they? No. They're out there for, what, 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years. We correct?
Yeah.
We see old drug addicts, old alcoholics, okay? What happens to their body? Their liver gets broken down, their kidneys get broken down, their digestive tract is off, the moisture in their body doesn't exist because all these drugs are, you know, the chemicals and all of the natural things that are in our body get eaten up because alcohol turns into what? Sugar. And sugar turns into acid, okay? Sugar turns into alcohol, alcohol turns into acid. So now we have people who are eating chocolate getting drunk. Then they get high. Or they get high, then they get drunk. So everybody in the morning is addicted to the sweet toothpaste. So the issue becomes whether or not you want to get your life together or not. So a drug addict after 30, 40 years, their liver breaks down, yes. Their kidneys break down, yes. A person who's addicted to chocolate after 20, 30 years, their kidney break down, yes. Their liver break down, yes. Diabetes, yes. You know, fungus on the toes, all to the body, and yeast, and so forth and so on. But see, what happens is a chocolate alcoholic is a little bit more classier than a liquor alcoholic. Is that what we say? You see, but that's the confusion. Because when you go into the hospital, they don't care whether you are a heroin addict or whether you're a chocolate addict. They're concerned with treating the condition. Where did it come from? So the egos, you need to get rid of. You need to recognize that an addict, if that's you, you're an addict. And individuals who are in the streets stealing and robbing folk are doing that, and you're stealing and robbing from yourself. So I've been in the field of addictions for 40 years. I've ran treatment programs for 40 years. Everybody who came in there liked chocolate. So what, I'm treating them for the heroin, the cocaine, or the chocolate. So I teach a counseling class for the last 10 or 15 years, and I teach the holistic approach to addictions and substance abuses and abuses, compulsive behavior. So I'm telling these potential counselors, you got a client that comes in that's addicted to cocaine, and they're eating a Snickers bar. What do you say to them? What do you mean? You know, people don't understand that that is a trigger, because the sugar will pump the person up like cocaine does. Y'all with me?
Yeah.
Okay, so if that person gets pumped up and they begin to relate to that same cocaine high, then they're going to want to go get some more cocaine or some more candy or some more cocaine or some more alcohol or some more white pasta or some more white rice or some more white bread or all of those things that turn into sugar that will become acid and eat your body up. So you cannot make a decision, as brother was saying earlier. Some people say, well, I'm not ready to do this and I'm not ready to do this. Well, question yourself what you're in here for. Why did you come here? Did you come here just to get the information, or did you come here to get the information to make the necessary change? They're not working for no reason. They're not working for you to come and just hear the information. They're working for you to come and make changes, because if you don't make the changes, you will get diabetes. You will get high blood pressure. You will have digestive problems. I don't care how slim you are. You're gonna have brittle hair. You see what I'm saying? Your vision is gonna get blurry. You're gonna have problems with your skin. The women are gonna have problems with their cycle every month. So just keep eating the chocolate. Keep eating the things that you're having problems with. Outside of that, make the change, make the adjustment, and become healthy. It's about optimal choices. So if I'm going to become a vegetarian and I still eat chicken and fish, then it's not optimal. You see what I'm saying? It is not optimal. I'm still hanging on to the chicken or fish because I'm addicted to the fish. Somebody talked earlier about the mental processes that are involved in this. You know, so again, I already gave you the map. If you attach the issue of holism with dealing with the chocolate addiction, then you're going to look at your spirit. And you're going to wonder why your spirit can't make the proper decision for your mind. And you're going to wonder why your mind can't make the proper decision for your body. And therefore your environment and your community and your household, etc., will remain the same. So if you got an addiction, you have to work on that person's spirit. You have to work on that person's mind. They don't know what them drugs is doing to them. They don't know what that chocolate is doing to them. So you got to educate them. And then they'll change their mind and say, no, I do need to change this. I ain't ready for this. I do need to change it now. So then we work on that whole community, and it goes back up to the mind, to the body, to the spirit.
I just wanted to say one thing, just to tag on to that. It was going back to that, taking 20 minutes a day for yourself, just to detach yourself from everything, because that's where I think you can begin to get to the core of what is it that's underneath all of the addictive behavior patterns you might have. And I'm speaking from experience because I'm an emotional eater. I got my addictions. And every summer I do a raw diet for 4 months. So it gives me a chance to kind of spend time, outside of those addictions. But one of the things that taking time because I do it in the morning, taking times to meditate and journal, is that you can really find out what you're eating the chocolate to, what you're eating all of the bad things to. And you'd be surprised at how much just 20 minutes a day, or even 10 to 15 minutes a day in the mornings, just trying to assess where you are, who you are, how you feel, what kind of things you're going to be coming up with today, how you can gather your strength and your energy, will make a difference in the decision as to whether you grab a chocolate bar or not.
And just to kind of go on with that, would each one of the panelists just offer their advice, their own opinion on what people can, feasible things that people can do to counteract their addictions, like Ms. Sylvia was saying and Dr. Patterson was saying. So just either your way that you counteract your addictions, or that you deal with avoiding addictions, or just things that other people can do to do the same.
Stay away from crack down.
But I'm a big proponent of the 12-step program as well. They're just not for AA, and then they're Codependence Anonymous. It talks about our relationships with other people and with ourselves. There's Food Anonymous. There's an anonymous for just about anything. Price is Right. Doesn't cost anything. You go, you share, and it works. It's been working since like 1950.
Absolutely. It has to do with, a collaboration between people, as she talked about that concept. And it started, like she said, back in the 50s. Some alcoholics were having problems and trying to get themselves together, and they kind of got together and started to share a little room together, and one of them had to leave and go across the country. And he had this urge to use, and he got on the phone and called the other cat all the way back on the other side of the country, and that's how Narcotics Anonymous started. And they talked him down at that point. The next thing you know, now we got Narcotics Anonymous, and that's what we've done. And that's an African concept. I'll say that again. That's an African concept. That's a concept that says each one teach one, which is the concept of this organization right here. Each one teach one. Brother talked about as he's doing his work with the media, and that's a collaboration. We have to keep that going.
Oh, I just like to add, be realistic. Like, without if you're not confident in the discipline, I want jump to think like you just gonna wake up tomorrow morning just like go vegan or just go raw. Like that is, I won't support that. I would support a gradual step program and trying to build up the confidence and discipline to make the diet switch that you want to make. And in between time, then try to find like other alternatives, be it vitamins or other minerals to try to compensate for what you're not getting from eating a raw vegan diet.
I think one of the things that I've been listening and thinking about brother's question, I mean, you know, especially being, you know, I started eating all raw food diet since 2000. And obviously, one of the things that is very major, very big in doing this lifestyle is the social. The physical actually wasn't that difficult, but I mean, we all have friends, we all have family, we have relationships, you know, with people most people who are not doing and living this lifestyle, if that's a choice of yours. The thing is that in terms of, you know, when we look at food versus drugs or drugs versus food, I mean, it's really a thin line. And we have to understand there's one of the best books that I've read is a book called Drugs Masquerading as Foods by Suzar, so S-U-Z-A-R. I definitely highly recommend that book. And really in that book, or just, you know, I work with food every day, and I understand food not just on an artistic level as a chef, but also as a science. And the thing is that anytime, you know, like chocolate, salt, sugar, all these things are not the enemy. I mean, we fat, all these things we need. We need fat, we need sugar, we need salt, we need chocolate. You know, we need these things. It's just that we need them in the right form. See, once you begin to alter, whether it's via processing, cooking, genetic alteration, it becomes a drug. So even for the cocaine, that's from a food.
That's right.
You know, the coca leaf. These are what I call the forbidden foods. You know, marijuana or hemp. You know, these are food that we should be eating, but in their natural state. You know, and they don't become, see, when they're in their natural state, they have a perfect balance of energy, of water, of fiber, of enzymes. But once you cook these things, see, for anybody who, you know, whether you smoke cigarettes, you smoke weed, you sniff, or you do, see, these are all attempts for us who, you know, we're looking to get that alkaline high. That's what that is. Because, see, when you're eating cooked food, it's all acid. So when you're acid, when you're acidic, when somebody's yelling and screaming, they're acidic. When you're aggressive or you get agitated easily, you're just acidic. You're eating too much acidic food. Okay, so, you know, you smoke that cigarette, and then that's that alkaline. Now you calm. You know, so, but again, see, these are all like, you know, these are all drugs. See, we need to eat them as food, as real food, in their natural form, as Mother Nature produced them. You know, with the sun and the earth and the rain and the, you know, when we're eating it, then it doesn't become destructive. It becomes healing. You know, and that's, you know, all our food should come in as healing food. So, again, you know, so I definitely, you know, that's a powerful book, Drugs Masquerading as Food. Definitely get that. But in terms of the, and really just to finish my point, in terms of the addiction, you know, I mean, you know, it's one thing to be addicted to cigarettes and to alcohol. I mean, we're you know, most people are conscious of these choices, but to be addicted to food, that's like so accepted socially. Okay, so how do you break that? It's very, very difficult. It takes a lot of willpower. It takes education. It takes you know, it takes basically having the support to do it.
Let me just add something. The powers that be are right on top of this. It took us 50 years to get on the cigarette pack that the cigarettes will kill you. Okay, I remember back in the 50s, yeah, that's how old I am. Back in the 50s, wasn't nothing on there, and they had commercials on TV that the doctors were doing, saying it's okay to smoke cigarettes. Call for Philip Morris, you know, we had some serious TV ads and radio ads and newspaper ads where you had doctors okaying pregnant women to smoke cigarettes. So we began to see people dying and getting all kinds of respiratory problems as it relates to cigarettes in the 50s. So they started to attack it, and they attacked it in the 60s, and then in the 70s, and they put on cigarettes may be dangerous to your health. That's it. You know, now we go through the 80s, we get to the 90s. You know, we had to take 50 years for them to put on the cigarettes. It's gonna kill you, you know. Now, the same thing is gonna happen, and it's happening with the foods. We look at the food pyramid back in the day, and it had meat 3 to 4 servings a day. Dairy, 3 to 4 servings a day. You look at it now, it says meat sparingly. That means none at all. So what happened in 1977, your President Reagan, because his show wasn't mine, I ain't voting for the boy. He decided to put together a Senate Select Subcommittee to talk about what my sister talked about, the SAD diet, the standard American diet. So we got Senator Talmadge and Senator McGovern, some of the so-called heavy hitters, and some pharmacists and some nutritionists, internationally world-known biologists, and blah, 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 blah. And they did a study in '77. The results of the study stated in 30 years, if we continue with the standard American diet, you know, Crack Donald's, Murder King, Taco Hell, Wind Disease, Popeyes, KFC, killing families and children. And my children came up with this in the classes. You know, I asked them, I said, what do y'all think about this food? They talk, oh, wind disease. You know, pop lies, you know, clockers, you know, checkers, you know, the Chinese folk, yum, they call it dum-dum, you know. So again, these clearly are issues that we have to deal with. So we look at it now, and they got on there sparingly in terms of meat, sparingly in terms of dairy and cheese and so forth. Go check it out. At the bottom, they got soy milk on in there. They got soy milk down at the bottom. We're talking about whole grains and so forth and so on, but we know that there's really 4 food groups. And those 4 food groups, I got a little picture of it right here. You know, those 4 food groups, vegetables, whole grains, fruit, and legumes. You know, this came out from the Physicians Council of Responsible Medicine right here in Washington, D.C. They're the ones who put the advertisement in the Metro with the milk thing on the lip saying milk terrible for you. It only stayed up for a couple of months. They heard it and got it up out of there. But here we got a condition now where they're saying that this food is healthier for us to eat nowadays. So what did they do to disguise it again with the pyramid? They came up with your food plate. Y'all seen the new food plate? It's 4 sections. Whereas the pyramid listed the food that you're eating. The food plate just say protein, fruit, vegetables, nice little colors. You know, so now they can still do what they want to do in terms of putting specific things in those sections. So it really should be what? Fruits and vegetables. Wah, that's it. Fruits and vegetables. Wah, that's it. Now, I grew up eating pork chops and chitlins. Okay, so I want y'all to know that. I love pork chops and chitlins. If I can eat them now, I go give me some vinegar, some hot sauce, and one of them nice old egg, baked up cornbreads, and I tear it up. Pork chop and gravy. I grew up eating. I'm serious. I likes that kind of stuff. At age 13, I became an alcoholic. So at age 15, I'm running around in the street, robbing people and using drugs and stuff like that. So to qualify myself is very, very easy. You see what I'm saying? Talk about the things that have to be done. But all of you all have to recognize what you all have to do and what your responsibility is to yourself. This is no plaything here. The people up here on this panel, if I can just say this quickly, that the people up here on this panel are committed. I know their work every day. They are committed to making sure that the information that's needed to empower the community is important. Haru is my co-host on my radio show. You know, Kepler, I send all of my clients to him and Haru for